If you're in the market for a game improvement iron, something that's going to give you more distance, better feel, and more forgiveness, but you want it to look like a better player's club, something that might be in a really good player's bag, this iron might be just what you were looking for. This is a new for 2023 Titleist T200 iron. And in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it. So Titleist has just dropped for 2023 the new T Series of irons, and there are 4 of them. There's the T100 for the game's best players. There's a T150, which takes the place of the T100S. It has stronger loft than the T100, but is very, very similar in other ways. Then you get into the Titleist T200. This is a game improvement iron, but it looks like a better player's club. It has a lot of the features and benefits, the distance, the forgiveness, that players who routinely shoot, say, in the high 70s through the 80s, maybe even into the low 90s, the kind of club that they are going to be looking for to help them try and get to the next level. From a construction standpoint, this club has not really changed all that much. This is a hollow body iron. You're talking about here a sub 10 stainless steel face as well as a sub 10 stainless steel back section here. The face is actually in an L shape. It's not a flat plate. It wraps underneath the leading edge and is really shaped like an L. And the advantage of that is it allows the lower portion of the face to flex a little bit more effectively at the moment of impact. It pulls the sweet spot down. So if you have a tendency to thin some of your iron shots, this kind of face construction can be a real game changer for you. Now, Titleist has changed a little bit of the cosmetics, and we're going to get to that in just a second in the video. This is still a hollow body iron, which means that that face is going to be able to flex a lot more effectively at the moment of impact, and that face flex is going to help it generate more ball speed and give you more distance. Inside the head of each one of the Titleist T200 irons are 2 large pieces of tungsten, one in the heel and one in the toe section. While the exact amount of tungsten varies by iron, it averages about 80 grams per club, and what that does is create a lot more perimeter weighting. It increases the MOI, the moment of inertia, and makes the clubs a lot less susceptible to twisting on off-center hits. It increases the forgiveness. Now, from an engineering standpoint, Titleist really likes using that tungsten, not only because it increases stability, but because it makes the club play bigger. They can get that stability without increasing the blade length, or making the club physically bigger. Most people, when they're looking for Titleist irons, they want something that looks like a classic better player club. A bigger iron doesn't necessarily fit the bill. They want that more compact shape. And by going with that internal tungsten and adding more stability, you're getting more forgiveness than you would typically get in a club that has this more compact blade length. Now, something else that Titleist has done in the 2023 edition of the T200 to try and generate more ball speed and improve feel is that they've modified the max impact generator. If you recall, the original Titleist T200 irons had this sort of dot feature on the back, and that dot held a piece of polymer that actually acted like a spring. So when the face flexed back, it hit that polymer, and the polymer absorbed the face flexion and then shot it forward a little bit more effectively giving it almost like a little turbo boost, and that helped to increase ball speed. Well, that mechanism wasn't something that people really liked to see on the back of the club, but they liked what it did. So Titleist moved that in the 2021 version inside the club head and put a sort of a polymer, a plastic cap on the back so people wouldn't see it. Now, in the 2023 edition, that impact generator has been moved a little bit more from the heel into the center of the hitting area, and that's going to allow Titleist to do a couple things. Number one, it went with a smaller, thinner piece of that polymer material, which is going to save a little bit of weight. But number two, it allowed Titleist to effectively stiffen up the very top line more effectively. That's going to change the harmonics and the vibrations that are created at the moment of impact. So the sound is going to be better. The feel, which is so related to sound, is going to be more effective, more pleasing to a broader number of people. By moving the impact generator more into the middle, the club sounds and feels better. The other thing that Titleist did, which is very subtle, and I think a lot of recreational golfers won't pick up on, is that they have changed the way that the back edge, the trailing edge of the golf club is designed. Now, previously, they had what's called trailing edge relief, so that the back of the sole actually had a slight little crease and then moved upwards. But now, if you'll notice that the back edge of the sole is actually going to curve up pretty sharply. Now, that's going to do is help with the turf interaction. The leading edge of the Titleist T200 iron has got a little bit of pre-wear on it. It's not very sharp. It's been intentionally softened, if you will. And because that back section curves up more abruptly, this club should get into and out of the turf more effectively, helping golfers maintain speed through the hitting zone. Now, from an aesthetic standpoint, the Titleist T200 iron now fits in beautifully with the rest of the Titleist T100 family. I've got right here a Titleist T150 from 2023, and you can see the clubs look very, very similar. I can see a lot of players working with custom fitters to get blended sets of these clubs. For example, you might opt to go with a 4, 5, 6 iron, maybe even a 7 iron in the Titleist T200 to get a little bit more ball speed, a little bit more height, to try and maintain a little bit more forgiveness through your longest irons, and then maybe transition in at, say, the 7, the 8 iron, the 9 iron and up into the Titleist T150 to get a little bit more piercing ball flight, a little bit more feel on some of the clubs that you're going to be using predominantly on your approach shots. The real trick to making a combo set work is having your custom fitter add loft to some clubs and de-loft other ones so that there's a smooth transition and a smooth gapping between all of your clubs. The last thing you want to do is, for example, have a Titleist T200 6 iron, and then when you go into a 7 iron of a Titleist T150, to have there be a 15 or 20 yard gap in between those. You want to work with your fitter so that those gaps make sense, and a good fitter should be able to bend these clubs and manipulate the lofts to be able to make that happen. So how do you know if you're a candidate for a Titleist T200 iron? Well, T200s, generally speaking, are going to be for players who are looking for more ball speed and more forgiveness. Again, like I said, this is a classic game improvement club. It looks like something that could go into a better player's bag. And many accomplished golfers may be looking to put this with a graphite shaft and use this club as a driving iron. For example, putting a 3 or a 4 iron of a Titleist T200 in with other clubs could be a pretty savvy move. But I think the Titleist T200 is really going to appeal to golfers who are looking, again, for more forgiveness, for more feel, better feel, without sacrificing distance. And that's going to be the type of player who I think the Titleist T200 is really going to appeal to most. So I'd love to hear what you have to say and what you think about the Titleist T200s. If this is a golf club that you're looking forward to trying, if you've been playing some Titleist T200 irons in the past, does this intrigue you enough to make me talk to a good custom fitter and investigate a set for yourself? Please let me know in the comment area below. It would be really great also if you consider subscribing to my channel as well as hitting the bell button so you can get notifications when I've got new videos and new content coming out. Stuff is now flying out of here fast and furious at this point. Now that we're into August, there are a lot of videos I'm going to be coming out with over the course of the next couple weeks. You're definitely not going to want to miss anything. So thanks a lot.